minds think alike. Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. Let's rock. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast. You're now tuned.
All right, welcome to the Great Minds Podcast. This is Derrick.
This is Vaughn.
And we are here with Simeko Hartley. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us. We've been trying to get a natural hair episode done for a very long time.
Yes.
So we're happy that we were able to find you. So we appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, so I'm going to give you a brief introduction, and we'll get a little bit more into it as we go along. So Simeko Hartley is a natural hair coach, specialist, mom of a few, and a lot more that we'll get into today. So thank you again.
Definitely.
All right. Simeko, why don't you give us a little bit of your background, like your upbringing, things like that.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Harlem, New York. Woo woo, go Harlem! Harlem in the house.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I pretty much lived there for most of my life, and I moved out to Jersey in 2006 and brought a little of New York with me when I came. But yes, I've been in the hair care industry since 1994. In the natural hair care industry since 1994, working for one of the top natural hair care salons in the country. I loved it. It was like a dream job for me, because I always knew when I was a little girl that I either wanted to do two things, either be a teacher or own my own salon. So landing that job was like perfect for me. And then I ended up moving out to Jersey, and I opened up my own salon, which I had for 7 years, and then I ended up selling it. And so now I'm specializing more in teaching other women how to take care of their hair, and in teaching other stylists how to specialize in natural hair as well.
Nice.
So growing up, we all know Harlem has its own flavor. I have a lot of family in Harlem too, so I know the vibe. I know how it goes. So how did that play a part in you, growing up? How did that mold you?
It's so funny, because when I was growing up in Harlem, it was in the 70s, and I was a little girl, but I remember like Harlem as like the Renaissance. I remember like the Cotton Club and all of the, it was when like the musicians and the artists. So I remember when they were dressed sharp, and, the brownstones was in. I was too young to really appreciate it, but that's the vision of Harlem that I remember. And then unfortunately it turned, things turned around and it became the ghetto. But, and now you can see it's regentrified. So it's changed drastically. But that's the Harlem that I hold dear to my heart. That type of Harlem, the Harlem that was just, it was the place to be, is where everybody wanted to be. It was about culture. It was about jazz. It was about artists and, musicians. And, that's what Harlem means to me.
Definitely.
So when you were young, I know you said you either wanted to be a teacher or something to do with hair. What did you do with hair when you were younger? Did you like deal with dolls? What made you say like I'm really into this?
Okay, so I wanted to own a hair salon. So I didn't want something to do with hair. Very specifically, I knew I wanted to own a business. So entrepreneurship is in my blood. My grandmother from my father's side, she's always been an entrepreneur like my whole life. So it just runs through my blood. So I don't know, just as a little girl, how do you know? Maybe it's the passion. It's just something innate that you feel like you want to do. So I knew being an entrepreneur was one of them, or being a teacher, because I really love children. So it was one of those two things. And you know how when we're children, we all have this, when I grew up, I want to be a firefighter, or I want to be a policeman.
Right.
So those are the things that, I knew I wanted to do. And I've been blessed to not only be able to have my own salon, but also teach entrepreneurs how to start and grow their business. So I got to live out both of my dreams.
Definitely. I was going to ask you about that. So how did you first start or venture in to the whole natural hair world? How did that process go?
Okay. So I'm going to take you back a little. Now, as a young girl, and I'm quite sure a lot of African American women could relate, we grew up not really loving and embracing our hair. I remember going through some traumatic experiences just with getting a relaxer at a very early age, burning my scalp,
And the hot
my
comb.
mother hitting me because I was like, ouch, it burned. And she was like, keep still. And I'm like, but you're burning me. I mean, I had so many horrible experiences. I knew that I didn't want to relax my hair, but I was a slave to it because that was all I knew. So it was like, if I could just escape this, if I could find a way to just take care of my hair and love my hair, I can't wait. And it was when I started working at that natural hair care salon. I saw all these beautiful African American women like loving and embracing their hair. And I'm talking about celebrities and women from all over the world. They were wearing their hair natural. It just wasn't popular. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And the second I started working there, I like cut all my hair off. And I knew that I wanted to teach other women how to love and embrace their hair. Like it was okay to be who you are and love your hair and be proud of the hair that you have. And so that was like, and I was 19 when I started working at that salon. So it was like the best thing ever.
Okay. Quick question. Do you think that it was society saying that that wasn't a good look? Is why, it was more about what we saw, the images that we would see on TV or that you would see on TV? Is that kind of what made you feel a certain way?
Absolutely. But I mean, I was young. So really my first image was my mom. It was how my mother made me feel about my hair, because she would tell me my hair was too nappy and, she couldn't take care. It was too rough to take care of. It was hard and brittle. But then, of course, she was trained to believe that, and her mom was trained to believe that. So absolutely. And then the images that we saw around us, all you saw was, you needed to conform. You needed to either wear your hair straight, right? Or it was either the skin tone. If you wasn't light skinned and your hair wasn't straight, then you weren't beautiful. And that's what you saw. So that's what you believed. And it wasn't until I started working at that salon where I realized real beauty is what you exude, and people accept you if you have the confidence enough to step out, right? To be daring enough to be like, you know what, this is me. And that's why I never wanted to work in corporate America, because I'm not a conformist, and I never felt like I needed to change who I was to fit in. Like my intelligence has nothing to do with what I look like. And so I knew corporate was never for me. I'm a creative, and, I knew I wanted to be in a creative environment growing up.
Okay.
That's great to hear. That kind of ties into what I was going to say next. Like, you were kind of ahead of the curve, I feel like. And I think that on some level, because of you and others like you, you were pushing this movement way before it was even cool to do that. So what I was going to ask is what changed? What gave people, or women, I should say, confidence to say, like, I don't want a perm anymore? Because that used to be the wave. Get a perm,
go to the doobie shop, right?
Right. Like that was just,
blow it out.
That was just the thing. What do you think changed that, and what do you think gave women the confidence to say, like, oh, that's cool? It's like forbidden to get a perm now. Like,
exactly. Even, you know what? It's so crazy how it took like a 180, because it's not even get a perm. You don't even put heat to your hair. Like if you blow your hair out or use a hot comb, what are you doing, right? So I think it's several things. One was a lot of women, there were several women who were forced to go natural because they realized how damaging the relaxer was, and their hair was falling out, it was thinning and breaking off. And so they were like, we can't continue to do this. And then two, I think, is being more educated. So getting more information on, how to really take care of your hair. There's so much information out there. There's so many products out there, and then three, it was society's acceptance of it, because now you see it all over the place. You see women in commercials, you see women on TV shows. And so now more women are like, I can do this. But I really believe that, it takes professionals, though, people that specialize in natural hair, to really give real information. Because unfortunately, because society made it a big thing, it's more of a marketing ploy now, right? So, it's all about, these big companies, now they have in terms that never exist before, so they can sell you products for your natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so women are watching YouTube, like, they have all these women with these big, beautiful hair, and they want their hair to look like that. But the reality is not everyone's hair is going to look like that, right?
Right.
So they're selling you products, they're selling you a dream. So, I think it's really important to educate women and help them to really learn to embrace what they've been blessed with so that they can truly love it and learn to take care of it.
Definitely. So, Simeko, what I wanted to let people know too, I know we spoke about it and we know what natural hair truly is, right? So I think a lot of times people see natural hair, they really don't know. They think, oh, it's just sort of afro or it's locks or it's braids, but it's really with no chemicals to your hair. And I know that there are some women that you can have natural hair and also have a weave as well, right? But a lot of people don't really get that. So can you kind of explain that to people, really what natural hair truly is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So natural hair literally means that your hair, the way that it is organically as it grows out of your head, right? So you haven't done anything to alter the chemical state of your hair. So if your hair grows out coily, if it grows out straight, if it grows out wavy, all of that is natural hair. Because you can have an afro, but if you color it, it's no longer 100% afro. Even though it looks coily, you change the color of it. So it's not 100% natural. You could wear a weave or you could wear braids, and because the texture, you haven't chemically altered the texture, it's still natural, because once you take that weave off or the braids out, you still have the same texture of hair. So absolutely. Because a lot of people think, oh, if your hair is straight, it's not natural, but if that's how it grows out of your head, it's natural hair.
Right.
Yeah. Great.
So the other things I see, just like on my Facebook timeline and things like that, people struggle with like the natural hair journey. So what advice, like I hear people and they're just like, I'm about to just get a perm, I'm over this. Why do you think that occurs, and what I guess advice can you offer those people?
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because it brought me back to why you said, why do I think women started to go natural, right? So your why is the biggest thing that would either keep you natural or make you want to go back. So if you went natural because you saw someone else's hair that looked good and you wanted to try to go natural, then most likely you're not going to stay natural for long, because you're going to realize that your hair is not going to look like that person's,
right,
and it takes a lot of work. Or if you went natural because you really love the perm, but your hair was getting damaged, so you just happen to let it grow out, but then once it gets healthy again, now you want to go back to the lavender, then that's not a real reason for being natural. Really going natural and staying natural, and it's a journey. Just like any relationship, anything that you're doing, like working out, eating healthy, building a good relationship, it's a process that takes work that you got to put into it. But unfortunately, people want to just go natural and think they're going to have it down, and you're just not, because your hair is going to go through stages. You have to learn your hair. Remember, we ran away from dealing with our hair for a very long time. So now we have to learn to embrace it and accept and realize that it's just not going to do, what other people's hair is going to do. It's not going to take the same product as other people's hair. So that really takes time and energy and a whole lot of patience. So, that's what I would really advise people to do, is to really get to know their hair, understand their hair. Stop listening to everybody else and what they're doing and what's working for their hair. Because I always tell women, your hair is like your fingerprint. So even though it looks like someone else's, it's going to be completely different, because the chemistry of your hair is totally different from someone else's, even though it looks like it.
Right.
You could use the same product and it's going to work totally different, right? Because the chemistry is different. So think about it like this. You could take cologne or perfume and put it on two different people. What's going to happen? You're going to get... Why? Because their body chemistry mixes with it and it slightly alters the smell. Right. It's the same thing when you use product on two types of hair. The chemistry of the hair is different, so it's going to alter the product, and so it's not going to work the same on two different heads.
Okay. Okay, I wanted to add to. I'm glad you said that too. Just as far as the various journeys. So I just want to tell. I see a lot of young girls, and sometimes under 7, getting a permanent hair. That should, to me, should be outlawed. It should never happen because you're teaching the kid at a young age to not like her hair, right? So how do you feel about that? Just as far as young kids you see getting perms and things like that.
Right. Well, now, of course, I'm totally against it because, I truly believe that we need to teach our young women to love themselves. And that means embracing, and it's not just the hair, it's your eyes, your nose, your body, your skin tone, your skin, the color of your skin. It's really time to teach them how to truly love themselves. And as a mom, I'm my daughter's first, and so what I do, she's going to look at me. So if I don't love who I am, if I don't love my hair, then she's not going to love hers, right? If I don't exude that confidence. And if I'm telling her that your hair is kinky and unkept, then she's not going to learn to love it. And so I think it's really important as parents that we set the example for what beauty looks like. And it's beauty, it's like a gamut, right? Curly hair is beautiful, kinky hair is beautiful, dark skin is beautiful, light skin is beautiful, right? So we got to define for ourselves what that is and then, pass that on to our kids. And I'm so glad you said that because that was one of the main reasons why I felt like I needed to help women to embrace it because then now they're passing it down to generations and generations and generations, right? We have to do it ourselves first so that young women could do it as well. And you see it now, right?
Yep.
A whole bunch of young women in school, they're loving and embracing their hair, and I love it.
And I want to add to what you're seeing too on the male side. So what you're seeing with us a lot, you have the new dread going on, you have the twist going on. So a lot of guys are getting their hair cut and getting the new dread on. I do it to my son all the time. So I'm not that old, but we didn't have that when we were in school. Like you either had a fade or you really didn't have any hair, or you had braids.
Exactly.
Or Caesar. So it's like, give me a shape up, cut everything off. Now you're seeing kids whip their hair, and I think that's kind of like back to that natural feel too. So I think it's a good turn that's happening right now.
Yeah, this generation is so much different than our generation growing up. And I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but I think I might have you by a few years. But it's a beautiful thing to see them really just love and embrace themselves, but then love and embrace other people that look different from them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But before that was the other thing too. Growing up, you were made fun of if your hair was, kinky. Kids teased you, but that's not the case now. People are loving each other, and they're accepting each other, and that's a beautiful thing to see as well. Because peer pressure is real. And for young kids nowadays, that really affects them, bullying and peer pressure. So knowing that they can wear their hair and be accepted and love who they are is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I'll tell you what's the most impressive thing about like how like kinky and curly hair looks. It's like the journey to get there. I mean, like you see the night before your wife might have in some old crazy Snoop Dogg looking braids. And you like, yo, what's going on? You come in the next day, take the scarf off, let it out. You're like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's what you was doing. Yeah. I thought she was working something else. But I tease my wife about like she'll have some crazy braids there, but when she let it loose, it's popping. So what are your goals like moving forward? What do you ultimately want to do? Because I think what you have going is great. Like you said, it's been a total 180 of like perms being the wave, and you should almost be embarrassed if you don't have a perm. To now, like she got a perm. It's kind of looking like that. What do you want to do going forward to just keep that movement or the momentum going?
All right, so before I get into that, I want to tell you with your wife and the hair, that is the one thing that I absolutely love about our hair is the versatility.
Right.
We can do anything and everything to our hair. We can wear it straight, we can wear it curly, we can wear it afro, we can wear braids. Not every culture or every hair texture could do that.
That's a
Her
fact.
hair is like, it's so beautiful. And once we realize that, because we were made to think that it wasn't good hair, But once we realize how beautiful our hair is, then we're going to really embrace it as that. And that's my goal. My goal is to truly help women really embrace and love their hair, because anything that you love, you're going to take care of, right? Anything that you love, you're going to nurture. Anything that you love, you're going to be patient with. You're not going to get frustrated with it. You're going to really take your time to get to know it, to make it your own. And so my goal is to help women own their natural hair. So not wish it was like someone else's, but embracing what they have and making it work for them. But they have to learn it and understand it in order to do that. So that's my goal, is to really help women own their natural.
Definitely. And I tell all men listening, watching in this podcast to really understand your woman's hair, because me and my wife been together since 2002, college sweethearts, and I have learned so much about hair by being with her. As far as, we done did everything. Some things if I say on this podcast, she'll probably kill me. So,
if she had protective styles, I know she had you taking it out.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I done seen from a quick weave to fro locks to bob to regular braids. I know the types of hair to get. I know I know the yaki. I know
that is
everything.
True love, Vaughn. That's true love.
I know everything. She'll tell me what it costs. I'm like, it costs how much? See, because you don't realize how much the price is. I'm used to like $20 for a haircut. It's like, no.
No, sir.
No, sir. So I'm like, all right. So I think every man needs to understand that, and they have a newfound respect for their woman. You see what they go through with their hair. But I wanted to ask you about I don't want to say culture vulturing, but it appears to me that once African-American women could be doing something for a while and doing different hairstyles and different looks, and then once another group of people or someone adapts to that and takes that, now it's like the new wave. They'll say, okay, cornrows. That's been happening for years. And then you see someone, with cornrows that's an entertainer. Oh, she started the new look. No, it's
You're
not.
like, wait, what?
Exactly. We know the real deal. But see, because that's not directed for us. It's directed for a different culture. So in order for the culture to accept it, it has to come from someone within that culture. So when they want to make it popular, they want to market it, it's not going to come from us because we've been doing it. So it has to come from someone that's famous, that's well known, that's within the culture to make it acceptable. And now it's like, oh, this new, I've seen it. Individual braids, cornrows. I saw someone in a newspaper, a woman discovered her daughter wearing, and this was of another culture, wearing a bonnet at night. And she was like, oh my goodness, my daughter learned how to wear a bonnet so her hair wouldn't be messy. And so this was this big thing in their community now, like, our moms are going out and buying bonnets. Oh, we do. We wear one. It's amazing. But, we know what it is. I don't catch feelings behind it, because this is our culture. This is what we've been doing, but we have to embrace it. Right. I think we haven't fully embraced our culture, and we haven't fully just been truly proud. We're coming to it now. We're coming to a place where you see more women being proud of, just like you said, wearing braids and accepting who we are. And so now other cultures are accepting it now from us and not other people within the culture.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
So when you're done with your hair stuff, you give that a break for the day. What are you watching on TV?
So I'm not much of a TV watcher. My life is very busy. I have, children. Yep. So let me tell you, I homeschool my children, which I'd done before this whole pandemic. Okay. I sold my salon 2.5 years ago because I really felt like my purpose was bigger than behind the chair, because it is my passion to teach women, to educate women. Like I told you, I'm a teacher by nature. I always wanted to teach. But I realized that even though women are going natural, they're still not understanding. That's why YouTube is so popular, YouTube University. That's why women spend tons of hours and tons of money on products trying to figure out what works for their hair because they still not understanding how to properly take care of their hair. And so it's my goal to build a platform where these women are getting professional, real education insight on how to really love and take care of their hair. So I sold this salon 2 years ago. When I did that, I decided to homeschool my kids. So that's what I'm doing. So between that and I have a podcast called Natural to Natural, where a platform where women actually share their journeys to inspire other women, and they get professional tips and advice from experts like me on how to care for their hair. And then I do coaching and consulting. So I help entrepreneurs start and grow their business. So I'm always busy, too busy to watch TV.
Okay, I want you to get into that a little bit as far as your website and what you're actually doing, and I think people need to hear that. So do you mind elaborating a little bit on that to tell people?
Yes. So one of the services that I offered in the salon that was really popular was consultations, where I really sit down with women and I really talk to them about the products that they're using, what their regimen is, what their diet is, what their mindset is, why they went natural. And then I come up with a hair care prescription plan for them and basically really help them set them up to set up a plan for their hair, because a lot of times women are confused. They're trying this, they're trying that. This is not working, that's not working, let me try this. But once they need to find something like a workout, find a workout, be consistent, stay with it, and then you will see results, right? And so that's my goal. My goal is to help them set up a hair care plan that works specifically for them, and then teach them accountability to stick with it. And then they can see results and reach their hair care goals. And also to train other stylists to do the same thing, because we need more natural hair care professionals and not women that just master what works best with their hair, but they're not really professionals, right? Because we have a whole lot of those on YouTube.
Definitely.
We need more professionals giving out that information as well.
Okay. Definitely.
So you don't do the TV thing. So maybe I should slow down on some TV and figure out some other stuff to do. We watch a lot of TV, but how about musically? Who are you into?
Who am I into musically? I like neo soul. Okay. So if I had to choose, I'm like the dirty backpack rat crew. So India RE.
Okay.
I like John Legend. I like Common. I love Chrisette Michelle, and then I like old school music. So Whitney is my girl. I love Whitney Houston. Who do I like? And then I do love like Nigerian music.
Okay.
So I do love African music as well.
Afro beats?
Afro beats, that's right.
Those beats be hitting.
Yeah, right.
I used to be into reggae back in the day, so that's not as popular anymore. It's Afro beats now. So it's kind of give me that same vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
You can mess around and do about 5 heads listen to the Afro beat album.
For real.
Definitely. So we know your future plans. So how do you feel about what's going on out in the world right now, as far as like what we're into, what we're embarking on? So I always tell people, we see how we come after tomorrow, how we feel. It's like one of those days where it's like, I see you on the other side. So how you feel about everything that's going on out there?
You know what? I take it with a grain of salt, right? Because the reality is we're all humans and we're all imperfect, right? And you're always going to have people who have opinions about what they feel is best. And so I am a true believer. Like I serve God. Like I feel like he's the only one that can solve all of our problems. Like we really can't look to man to solve any of our problems because we are imperfect, right? So I don't really get involved in that, because at the end of the day, you have people that have good hearts, but they're still limited because they're human, right? So we could put our trust in somebody, but everybody have their own agenda at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
Right? Everybody have their own agenda. And so, I steer clear from all of that. I focus on Simeko and my family, and I do the best that I can by spreading love to anybody that I meet. right? And just encouraging people, because I really think that that's what we need in the world today. Like, we really need to love our neighbor as ourselves, right? That is like the second commandment. If we all just took on that, we would not have the problems that we have today, right? Treat your neighbor as you treat yourself, as you would want to be treated, do unto others. Like, I truly believe in that. And so that's the model that I walk around with. That's the model that I teach my children with. And I try not to get involved in politics, because people get really sensitive, you know, about politics and stuff like that.
Especially now.
Especially now. So I feel like a lot of times, because of where we are and the climax where we are, it's like you got to be very careful what you say, right? Because people are really sensitive now, extra sensitive about everything. And so for me, it's how do I spread love? That's all I'm looking to do, is how do I spread love? That's it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, like, I think most people just need it to be over one way or another. I think that's the biggest thing, because you can make your adjustment from there. My question to you is, how do your kids deal with the stuff that's going on? Like, when we grew up, we didn't have like we had the news. We didn't have the additional social media to keep adding the fuel to the fire. Whereas, like, you know, you can talk to your kids about whatever, but at the end of the day, they have their own phones. You know, they're going to do, or they're going to find what they're going to find.
Yep.
So how are they navigating through these times?
You know what? At the end of it, like you said, I'm still a mother. And so I still get to create what because they're only 15 and 13. So I still get to create what their world looks like. And that's why I love homeschooling, because homeschooling, like, my kids, we wake up in the morning, we first start out with like our daily text and reading the Bible. That's the first thing that we do as soon as we wake up in the morning.
Great start.
Because we've got to start waking up with something positive, because there's so much negativity going on. And then we watch motivational videos together. So I allow them to pick a motivational video. So on growth mindset, they can pick anything. Prince, I don't know if you've ever heard of Prince, but he has a lot of good videos, especially for younger people, the younger generation, and they're all motivational. And then we go for a walk in the park. We have a park like 3 minutes, so we get some fresh air, and we go for a walk. And then they eat breakfast, and then they start school, and I start working. So I have a scheduled day for them, so they're not filling their minds with all the negativity. So, and then we have like family time. We eat dinner together every single night. So I get to create what their world looks like, so they're not bombarded. But when there is something happening that's going on in the world that they need to know, we sit and watch it together so we can discuss it as a family, so that I can know what's on their mind and hearts. And then as a mom, I can now express, okay, and help to comfort them. So I don't really allow them. They do watch TV. I do allow them, but it is controlled. It is controlled.
I'm glad you broke down that homeschooling, like, your day. Because I think that, you know, especially what's going on now, I think we're all in that same boat when it comes to homeschooling, right? To a certain capacity. When you have the school's help, of course, but I think it's good to have a schedule for your kids. And I think a lot of times, I know it's hard. It's not the easiest thing to do, but sometimes, but even sometimes with the structure, if you're a parent that is a single parent, and say you have to go to work, you know, I know my daughter sometimes when she's in class and it's a classmate helping out his or her sister who might be, and she's only in 7th grade, and she might have someone in 1st grade. So it's kind of hard to balance that. But I think the structure is key. But I think by you telling how you kind of break down your day, I think it can help people, you know, in the long run, break down their days if they haven't already. Because it's tough. Everyone's trying to deal with it, but it's kind of, if you're not used to going through that cycle, it's hard, you know. The
reality is, Vaughn, is that we're living in unprecedented times, right? And so I truly believe that so the way we would normally function and things that we would normally do, this is not the norm anymore, right? So we really have to dig deep down. Through this whole pandemic, I had to take a step back and I had to look at Simeko, right? Because in order for me to be truly effective with my children, I have to take a look at myself. And so the same things that I told you that I do for them, I do for myself first. So before I even go downstairs, I read my Bible, I pray, I work out, I do all those things, and then I do it for them because that's how I'm able to do. Because you got to take care of you first.
Absolutely.
You know, they always say when you're on an airplane, what do they tell you to do?
Put your mask on
first, because you can't save anybody dead. But a lot of times as parents, like you said, whether we're single, whether we're a couple, you know, we're worried about we're doing so much for everybody else that we forget to take care of ourselves. And self-care is self-love. You have to get to taking care of yourself first so that you can take care of everybody else, especially now in the times that we're living in. And it's okay to do it. We need to do that. So even if you just take a break and take a walk or do something, do whatever makes you feel good so that you can be good for everybody else.
Exactly. It's okay to say no, people. You can say no to people. I think some people are afraid to say no. They don't know how to say no. I say no all the time.
Or if they say no, they have to give an explanation as to why they say no, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. For me, no. If I say no, it's just no. Like I'm not gonna explain it.
Well, good for you. You need to teach everybody how to master that for real.
I know.
All right. So we end our show with what we call a rapid fire section. So it's
it's fun though, promise.
It's fun. It's it could be an open-ended question. It could be a this or that question. It's fun. Ready to go?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So I have a hair one for you. What is your favorite old school hairstyle?
Favorite old school hairstyle? That's a good question. I don't know. See, you can't ask a stylist that because I change my hair up so much and I like so many styles. But if I have to say a favorite old school, I would say a good old fashioned afro.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I know if you're gonna pull out the finger waves.
Nah.
I was never a finger wave girl, so no. Good old.
Nothing better than an afro that's well symmetry, like shape. Everything. The shape is just like a little microphone.
Like a little microphone.
Yeah, perfect.
The perfect afro, and you pick it out, and it's just like the perfect round fro.
The Angela Davis joint.
That takes time.
Yes.
All right. I have a question too for you. This is more. It's about hair as well. So if you could pick one person, male or female, but let's say female. It's easy to do female. Not easy, but it's more to choose from. Who would you love to style hair-wise?
Who would I love
that you haven't? If you haven't, it could be celebrity. Could be I'll say celebrity.
That's a good question. I don't really have a person I would love to style, honestly. I'm not a big, I'm into celebrity. I don't want to say I'm into celebrities, but I don't have celebrity crushes. So I don't feel like, if I could just do her hair. Because to me, all of my clients are celebrities. Like I treat each and every one of them.
That's awesome.
I value every one of them. I don't know. That's a hard one, Vaughn. That's a hard one. I'll come back to that.
Come back to that one. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So let me go to the next one. What's your favorite John Legend album?
The album?
Favorite John Legend album.
Derrick, you got me on that one. I have a song, not an album.
All right. What you got?
All of Me.
All of Me. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that one.
Yes.
One of my favorite songs too.
Yes.
All right. So he was trapped on a desert island with one album to play. What would it be?
Oh my goodness.
Just one. That's it.
Celine Dion.
Yeah, Celine. She's bad. Celine Dion is bad.
All right. Pick one of these artists, Chrisette Michele or India.Arie.
Oh, really, Derrick?
Really?
Oh, no. I have to pick one?
One. The other one's got to go.
I would say India.Arie because she has more hits than Chrisette Michele.
Okay.
All right. I have one for you. Now, this is going to go back a little bit, not too far. Back to 2000. I think it was 2001 or 2002. I can't remember. But do you think that India.Arie was robbed when she didn't win any Grammy?
Absolutely. And you know why? Because she didn't have that look that society says that you need to have in order to win. But her music, her voice, her songs, the message in her songs, hands down, she should. But I love artists like her because it doesn't make or break her. She knows who she is, and she knows what she has to offer. So and that's what I love. She is a strong African American woman who know her talent and her beauty, and don't need anybody to define it for her.
And that's why I actually asked that question, because it kind of spins back to what we talked about as far as how everything's being perceived. She had that natural look.
Yeah, she was natural too early.
Yeah, she was too early, and the world wasn't ready for that. So she didn't win the award she should have won. I think she ended up winning a Grammy later, I think. But that's kind of like,
but not at that time, right?
That time she deserved. She was nominated for like everything, like 12
and you
nominations.
Already know why, right? Everybody know why she didn't get it. It wasn't because she wasn't talented enough, because it's really supposed to be on talent. So if it was based off of talent, then she would have got it.
Yep. Wow.
You still upset about it?
I think everybody was at that time like, wow, she won nothing. That was her year.
You know, when they started to come around, when Lauren won all of those awards, like when Lauren, she had that natural look. But around that time, people started to become more acceptance to just, not being natural. So, because she walked away with like what, 7?
7. Because I think when NDRE was up, it was her and Alicia Keys. It was those two that was just back and forth. Nominated. Alicia Keys won everything. She kept winning. And she's great too. We all know she's great.
Right.
But it just was like weird to go like, wow, not one.
Right.
Not one? Nothing?
Not one? Not even half a one?
Exactly.
Well, Simeko, anything you want to shout out before we wrap up? Your website, stuff you got coming up.
Yes, absolutely. So my website is Meko, Meko, New York, spelled out, York. Nope. I'm sorry, I'm messing up my own website.
It's okay.
It's Meko, New York, Meko, NEWYORKLLC.com. You can go there for all of the services that I have to offer. I also have a Natural to Natural podcast, like I said, where I share women's story and advice and tips. And we also have a private Facebook group for people who want to join. And I'm also working on some projects to really, really help women on their journey to healthy, beautiful hair. So I'll be like keeping in touch with you guys, and you can offer that to your audience. So I'm working on it. So hopefully in November, I'll have that up and ready.
Awesome.
That's great. Appreciate your time, Simeko. Thank you very much.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. I love what you're doing. Because, when you asked me and I looked at your, I was like, they want to talk about natural hair. What they know about natural hair?
Oh, you're sleeping on us.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate being on your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching, listening. You can catch the Great Minds podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, anywhere you can listen or watch podcasts. You can catch us on Instagram at The Great Minds Podcast, on Twitter at The Great Mind P1. We want to thank Simeko Hartley again for joining us.
Yes.
It was our pleasure, and thank you for shedding some light, and hopefully this episode helps someone.
Definitely. Take care.
You too. Thank you, guys.
Great Minds Podcast. Great Minds Think Alike. Great Minds Podcast. Great Minds Think Alike. Great Minds Podcast. Great Minds Think Alike. Let's rock. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast. 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 Derrick and Vaughn, oh boy, like Cam on a song. Culture safe now, thank God. The panic is gone. Time to heal from the pain. Take the bandages off. You gotta win. The stakes are high like a cannabis bomb. Okay, it's game time. Picture with the balls, that's a FaceTime. Great minds spreading faster than a rumor through the grapevine. Vaughn and Derrick, deserve the merit. All salute. It's more than just a podcast. Show it's like a movie. Vaughn and Derrick, what up? Great minds think alike. It's the Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. It's the Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. It's the Great Minds Podcast. Great minds think alike. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast. You're now tuned into the Great Minds Podcast.